All right, ladies, welcome. Today we are starting to see a little bit of easing up of the symptoms, right? Like the re-emergence of energy or the disappearing of symptoms. Like you can see it. For some of you, it's literally starting to happen little by little by little. Some of you, it's not happening at all. That's how it's supposed to be, because if you are dealing with a high toxic load, on top of potentially a viral load, on top of potentially a bacterial load, and almost everybody has a little bit of all of those, it can take a lot longer. But as you can see, we're coming over that, like the hump, right, of the worst. Even if you're still feeling awful, it's a little bit better than how you were feeling a few days ago. So you're getting out of the really, really strong symptoms and moving in very gradually into a healed body, right? Where the bacteria is being killed off, the viruses are being killed off, the toxins are being shed, and you're going to start to feel how this works and why this is working. So if you are starting to feel a little bit better, share with me again, let me know so that I can at least be as close to you on this journey as possible, so that I know that, I can breathe a sigh of relief that your discomfort is starting to subside, which means that the healing is going on, which is amazing. What we're going to talk about today, Rebecca's here. Rebecca, it's 5 a.m. where you are, right? Rebecca's joining us for the first time today. I'm going to get to your question at the end today, Rebecca, but what I want to talk briefly about today is what's going to happen next. So you're going to finish your first 9-day deep detox on Friday. Friday is your juicing day. We'll talk more about the juicing day on Thursday specifically. So what do you do when you're done with the 9 days? This is where you get to decide, based on how you are gauging your symptoms, based on how your body is basically communicating with you, like what direction should we take now? You have one of three options. Either you can repeat the 9-day deep detox again, exactly as is. So you'd have the first 3 days of animal protein and then the 6 days without, and including 1 day of juicing. Or you could move on to the hybrid cleanse. So this would be the time for you to look at the hybrid cleanse document. We haven't had to look at it yet. Or you would move into clean eating, which is basically following all the recipes from the clean eating guide, as long as you stick to the morning routine. How are you going to make this decision? How are you going to decide which way is best for you? Take note that all three ways we're still keeping out, and always will, the inflammatory foods: wheat, dairy, sugar, processed foods, corn, soy, eggs, caffeine, alcohol. All of that is still out. The difference between the three is how deep each one goes, the intensity of each plan, and basically what pace you want to go at after these first 9 days. So if you're going to repeat the 9-day detox, you're in it. You see it, you feel it. This is if you have a really deep-rooted condition and you want to heal it as fast as possible, you would repeat the 9 days. And I would recommend that if you do have a deep-rooted condition, especially if you're seeing a lot of symptoms, then to repeat, because the faster you can go through this, the deeper you can go through this, the quicker you'll get over the healing reactions and the healing crisis, so that you can start to feel better. You can also repeat the 9 days if you're starting to feel really, really good and you're just excited about feeling even better. You can repeat the 9 days. If you are experiencing a lot of uncomfortable symptoms, and you do have a deep-rooted condition, and you're feeling like repeating the 9 days might hinder you or might turn you off the process, and you don't mind going through a slower paced healing, 100% you get to do that. In that case, I would recommend the hybrid cleanse, because it's an in-between. It's not as deep or as intense as the 9 days, but it's also not as slow as the clean eating. If you decide to go for the clean eating, this means that you really don't have any deep-rooted conditions. You don't have a labeled disease, and you're starting to feel better, and you're ready to go from a deep detox to the sustainable lifestyle. And that's what the clean eating is. That's the sustainable lifestyle. You really can't go wrong. Choose whichever one you choose. But I need you to be super honest with yourself. I need you to sit and think about it and ask yourself a few questions. Ask which one is going to serve you best, even if it feels like it's the harder choice. But if it's the harder choice, the one that's going to serve you better, then that's what you choose to do. And then come and let me know what you've decided to do. It's really important for you to recognize also that you can't do this wrong. So whichever plan you choose, you're not going to make a mistake. You're not choosing the wrong plan. The only thing you're doing in your choice is choosing the speed you want and the intensity that you want. That's it. However, when you do have a deep-rooted condition, if we're looking at thyroid, especially if we're looking at endometriosis, if we're looking at fibroids, things like that, do reach out to me, because I always recommend for those specific autoimmune that all grains are always left out. So beans, rice, lentils, all of that. And as much as possible, you leave out red meat. You limit that. Other than that, you get to choose which way you want to go with this. We're talking about it today because you have a few days to decide. So if you're unsure, message me, post on the group, or message me privately, or email me so we can figure out together. If you don't have a right away, like I know what's best for me, which is fine, message me and I can help you figure it out based on your symptoms. You can also do a little bit of mix and match. Because you, like I said, you can't do this wrong. As long as the major inflammatory foods are out, you really can't do this wrong. So let's say you want to do one more week of the 9 days, and then you want to do a week of hybrid, and then you want to do a week of clean eating. That works. Maybe you want to do hybrid, but you want to take a couple of recipes from the clean eating. That also works. This is the time where you start to create for yourself based on where you are today, and also based on where you're going to be on Friday. So some of you might not even make this decision until Friday, until you get to the end of the 9 days and you go through the juicing day, then you'll make the decision for yourself. But the variations in these 3 plans don't affect healing. They just affect the speed and the intensity of healing. But healing will happen as long as you stick with one of them. All right. Let me see. There's questions here. Angie, I read in your email this morning about waking up middle of the night at 3 a.m. Actually, this happens to me a lot. I wake up around 2:30, 3 a.m. before and during the detox. I read that it has to do with cortisol. You're also saying that it has to do with the liver. Could you explain that further? Yes. So, I slept well, at least because I tried the magnesium oil. Does it sting on other parts of the body? Okay, let me answer your first question. So when you're waking up regularly at 2:30, 3 o'clock, 4 a.m., that is a sign of the liver, mostly the liver. And then your liver is the one that has to process high cortisol. So it's always back to the liver in this instance. The liver is working hardest at night. It starts to work around 10 p.m. and continues to work throughout the night, peaking between 2 and 4 a.m. So if it's having to work really hard, when you're not on a detox, right, because you're continuously eating the inflammatory food that it has to process during the night, or when you're in a detox and you are intentionally jump starting the liver to cleanse itself out, this can happen. So, and this can take time, and this can be because the liver's flushing out the viruses, the liver's flushing out the toxins, years and years and years and years of doing this. So in order to support your liver during this process, it is so important to always make sure your last meal is by 6 or 7 p.m. so that the liver is completely free of anything by the time you go to sleep. The other thing you need to do is, it might not be your liver, it might be your brain waves. So and this is where cortisol also comes in. If you're somebody who sits in front of your TV or your laptop or your phone or any screen up until the minute that you go to sleep, you will wake up, you will have interrupted sleep because your brain waves you've kept your brain waves active up until the moment that you're trying to sleep. And they don't have time to wind down, to come down, to help you go into deep sleep where you stay asleep. So that's something. If the last thing you see before you sleep is a screen, this is going to interfere with your quality of sleep. So minimum an hour to an hour and a half before you sleep is 0 screen time, 0 phones, 0 laptop, 0 TV, 0 electronics, period. This is a non-negotiable. It will affect how you sleep. All right. So try that and then let me know. Okay, your next question. I slept well, at least because I tried the magnesium oil. So magnesium oil, magnesium is called the relaxation mineral. So it's going to, when you have enough, proper amounts of magnesium in your body, this helps to offset cortisol. So that's one reason why it works. Does it sting on other parts of the body? Yes. To the degree that you are deficient in magnesium, when you apply the oil, it will sting, regardless of which body part you apply it on. The how much it stings is relative to the deficiency. The more you keep using it, the less stinging it will become, because you're building up, you're replenishing that supply in your body, so it won't sting anymore. So if it stings, that's a sign of a deficiency. It was fine on my tummy and feet, but on my hands and shoulders, it was tingling. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It might be fine in one area, not fine on another. Tingling is a sign of deficiency. So it's important, because magnesium is one of those, like, it's literally, we call it the relaxation mineral. We call it the master mineral. It's like so important in the functioning of so many systems in our body, regulating blood pressure, regulating blood sugar, relaxation, muscle aches, muscle cramps, which include period cramps, right? So one of the reasons you might have really bad period cramps every month is because you have a very tight, your uterus is a muscle, it's really tight. Magnesium helps it relax. It helps you calm down. It helps you relax at bedtime. And we're going to get to that when we talk about supplements next week. So this is why it's one of the most important supplements to take is magnesium, because almost everybody is deficient in it. And then another thing where you might feel the effect of lack of magnesium is during your cycle, there's a natural dip in magnesium, like around PMS time. And that's why you have mood swings, right? Because magnesium is one of those, it's a mineral that helps you feel good. It's a feel-good mineral. So when you don't have enough, you also have the depression and the ups and downs. So magnesium is super important. And whether you use it as a spray, I also recommend you get it in tablet form. We'll get to that next week. Hi, Dennis. Hair loss, one of the symptoms. Hair loss can be a symptom, especially right now in the fall, because fall time is all about shedding. And if you're shedding viruses right now, and if you're shedding pathogens, yes, the same way that you can see rashes come on your face and pimples, and some of you are getting the ulcers, your hair could, like the old hair affected by the toxins, that can also fall out at this time also. Angie, can it replace magnesium supplement? No, I would ideally want you to do both. The magnesium spray, the benefit of the magnesium spray is that you can feel the effect instantly. So magnesium oil spray, the advantage it has over the supplement is that when you put it on your skin, magnesium is actually better utilized by the body topically, but you need to also rebuild the supply internally using a supplement. Hi, Dana, I still can't find the magnesium oil. Can you tell me where I can get it? So you can get it at Black Lotus, and they always have it on supplies, as far as I believe. And you can try Blessed Botanicals, and you can try, no, I think those are the only two for magnesium oil. Yes. No food after 6 or 7 p.m. What about drinks? Hot? No, finish everything by 6 or 7 p.m. because even if you need to pee, right, that's going to disturb your sleep. You don't want to have to pee either. 6 or 7 p.m., you're done. Nothing's going in your stomach. All right. Rebecca, would you like to unmute yourself and ask me your question again so I can answer it for you, for your husband?
Sure. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, so my husband has been doing sorry, my mind, I'm still so tired. He's been doing like a version of the detox.
Okay.
And the one thing that he's done consistently is the celery juice in the morning. And so he has eczema, but like I said, I've only ever seen like one little patch when he's super stressed. And the other day he woke up and it was all over his torso. And then the next day it was all over his legs and now on his arms. And so, yeah, I mean, he's understanding of what's going on, but he's also concerned because he's not doing the detox 100%. So I'm just curious, is like, I think it's such great evidence of what's happening. But what does this look like long term, because he's not doing this 100%? Like,
So let me ask you, what is he doing besides the celery juice?
well, he's doing like some salads, like, but on the weekend we had some people over, and so there was, he had a few glasses of wine, and there was like wonton soup and like just different things. Yeah, so there was gluten and
Okay.
grains, and so there was inflammatory
Okay,
foods there.
but other than that, he was mostly, all of that list of inflammatory foods, mostly it's off.
Yes. Yeah. But like, for instance, right now he's traveling the last 2 days, and he said, okay, I'm going to do my best just to, protein and vegetables.
Yep.
And he did. So then he'll come back today, and so he'll start the celery juice again.
Is he also doing the smoothie in the morning?
No, but that could be something that, yeah.
Okay. So just celery in the morning, lemon water? Is he doing lemon water or just celery?
Just celery.
Okay. And then salads, and then random sort of a bit of inflammatory foods here and there. Well, this shows me like a couple of things. One, to what extent, so when you're talking a skin condition, so psoriasis, eczema, acne, anything like that, we call these dermatoxins. So they're coming straight, and dermatoxins are stored in the liver. So when the liver, whether you're actually doing a detox or not, the liver is releasing them, whether it's a sign of an overburdened liver because it can't process, or we're intentionally triggering it, and so it's going to cause a flare up. So if he is getting a strong flare up, he's not even doing the smoothie, he's just doing celery, and then mostly salads, and then on the weekend he had some stuff that wasn't, non-inflammatory, that just shows you to what extent it's not taking much for his body to show signs of healing. Like, it's not taking much for his body to say, right, this is what needs to happen. We need to flush all this out. We need to get rid of all this. And celery is super, super, super powerful. You don't have to be doing like the whole entire detox to get benefits. If you're doing, because that's why I keep saying the morning routine is so key, because it literally affects the liver right away. So if all he's doing in the morning is just celery, that was enough to trigger his liver to release the viruses, to release the pathogens. And basically, if you saw my post earlier today, that's what's happening. He's getting a flare up. Like the pathogens are freaking out. The viruses that he used to feed with all the inflammatory foods are starving, and they're on their way out. And that's why you see a flare up. And I think it was Sarah who also said she had a flare up of her psoriasis. That's exactly what happens, because they need to, they're nestled really, really deep, these viruses and pathogens that cause eczema and psoriasis and other issues. They're nestled really, really deep inside organs, specifically the liver. So when we finally shove them out and like push them out, and we're starving them out, they have to go somewhere first before they disappear. So they sort of make a final appearance, which is the flare up, and then they die off completely as long as you keep starving them. So he's potentially going to see a flare up, and then it dies off a little bit. But then if he comes back in with the gluten and maybe on the wine, he might see another flare up, because he's feeding the pathogens again. So they're happy and strong again. So we want to weaken them as much as possible. And he might see like an ebb and flow of flare-ups, and then nothing, and then flare-ups, and then nothing, as these pathogens and viruses are finally being killed off. And this could take time. It will take time.
Right. And I guess if he was to get a little bit more committed to following the program, then it would go faster.
Definitely, it will go faster. So when protein is one of those things that also will slow down the process. So the things that slow the process down are the fats, the proteins. Obviously, I'm talking about in terms of foods from nature, right? So our body will recognize animal protein, good fats like nuts and avocados, but these are also foods that can slow down the process. So if he, he's been away for this weekend and maybe just having animal protein and veggies and maybe not seeing much, it's because the animal protein has slowed it down. And this is what I was saying at the beginning, like choose your intensity. So the 9 days is the deepest, fastest way to heal. Hybrid is kind of in between. That's why we call it hybrid, not too fast, not too slow. Clean eating, when you are incorporating animal protein and maybe a little bit of the grains, is going to go a lot slower. So everybody gets to choose the pace that they want to go at. So with one, the 9-day deep detox, you're totally starving the viruses and pathogens that are creating whatever issue you have. So it's going to flush quicker. You're going to feel the flare-ups quicker. With the hybrid, it's going to be kind of in between. You'll feel it, but not as intensely. With the clean eating, you might not even get a flare-up. It might be 6 or 7 months before something happens if you are going consistently on clean eating with animal protein. But is it working? It's working. It's just the question is, how fast is it working? And how fast do you want it to work?
Right. Okay. And can I ask you, is there any direct link between that with like cholesterol or pre-diabetes? I mean, maybe just because everything's kind of connected. So
Everything is connected. Everything is connected. Yeah. So, I mean, the same foods, it's all the root cause is inflammation, right? So the same foods that give you eczema and feed the viruses and pathogens that create dermatoxins that give you eczema and psoriasis and all of that are the same foods that affect insulin, affect the way the insulin functions. And cholesterol is basically one of your body's defense mechanisms against inflammation. When the body detects inflammation on any level, imagine cholesterol is sort of like, it needs to protect, it's like a jelly, and it needs to coat the inside of your arteries so that they don't get scorched by the hot blood, your acidic blood, right? So when you eat inflammatory foods and your blood becomes acidic, right? So we're always talking about keeping your blood levels alkaline. When your blood becomes too acidic from eating the highly inflammatory foods, it's like the blood becomes really, really hot. So as it's going through your arteries, it sort of like sears, like imagine like a flame going through your arteries, right? Like sears the arteries, which is really, really dangerous. So what does the body do naturally to defend itself? Is it coats the inside with cholesterol so that this highly hot acidic blood caused by inflammation, caused by inflammatory foods, doesn't ruin the inside of your arteries. But it's like a double-edged sword. It does that to protect you, but then the more it has to do that, the more they get clogged. And then you end up with heart disease, heart issues, high blood pressure, and all of that. So cholesterol is a defense mechanism. When does the cholesterol back off? When the acidity level of your blood goes down, when it's not so acidic anymore, when it's not so hot anymore that it's going to, scorch the inside of your veins and your arteries. That's when it can calm down and back off. And that's when cholesterol levels go down, because cholesterol is naturally occurring in your body. We think that we just consume it from animal protein and eggs and things like that. Your liver is already producing cholesterol. It's there because it's there as one of your body's defense mechanisms. So it's all connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that super interesting. Just you were sharing a story yesterday about your family and how it there's a predisposition to it, cholesterol and heart disease, I think you said, with your father. And so my husband has been on cholesterol medication for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And because it's a predisposition in his family too. But after, learning more of that, yes, it's a predisposition, but like you said, I think it's like a gun to the head, I think you said. I don't know.
It's a loaded gun, right?
A loaded gun, right. Yeah. And then you get to choose. I love that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So it's there. We all have our predispositions. It's there. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it's gonna trigger. Doesn't mean it's gonna manifest unless you do exactly what everybody in your family did before you.
Right. Okay, my final question is just for the eczema. Do you have anything that you would suggest in terms of putting it on for the flare-up, for the itchiness? Or
I mean, as natural as possible. He can try coconut oil, but it might be a bit itchy. I can look that up for you. Beyond coconut oil, I don't think I've seen anything else as a suggestion, because anything else that's going to be that you might get at a drugstore or prescription grade is going to have petroleum-based
Mhm.
ingredients, and that's going to make the irritation worse long term.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Who's next? Marianne, go ahead.
Hi there.
Hello.
So I wanted to ask you, I did post, I think yesterday, about my iron deficiency.
Yeah.
And I've always been largely, for the part of my life, all of my life, marginally anemic. And I've always written that off as women tend to be anemic due to the menstrual cycle.
Right.
My son, who's 9 years old, we found out he's also anemic.
Okay.
And it was, you know, as a mom, it's very disturbing to find out your child is anemic. But you alluded to the fact that this is probably leaky gut centric, because we tend to eat, for the most part, quite healthy.
Yep.
Very vegetable centric, fruits. This is a child that refuses chocolate and eats apples all day. He can eat 4 or 5 apples, and we actually have to hide the apples from him.
Yeah.
He does love his breads, his carbs. We've restricted the amount of meat intake. Although my husband, who does like to sneak him some, I always pronounce it wrong, charcuterie, the French, you know, the deli meats in English. He does like sugar, but he will not have chocolate. But he suffers from a lot of gas. He had a lot of bloating, so we took off, like, for years. So we took him off of milk, dairy, basically. Although he doesn't have cheese. He doesn't have, he'll have eggs on the weekend. He continues to suffer from gas. His bloating has reduced, but I would estimate then he's probably suffering from leaky gut as well. So I guess from a mom and son perspective, and I put him on, he was put on by the doctor to take iron. He took iron for 3-4 months. They said, come back after a month. I waited 4 months and he still was iron deficient, like a very 0.2 impact. And I was just stunned and shocked, and again, quite upset, because we've been hitting him with, like, beetroot juice and, you know, juicing and smoothies, and the impact has not been noticeable. So I just wanted to get your feedback. It would be really appreciated.
So, like I told you in my post, the iron deficiency is not necessarily just that you're not consuming enough iron-rich foods. Is your body absorbing and processing and making use of the iron that you're consuming in your foods? And the reason it wouldn't be is because of something called leaky gut, which is basically your intestines are not supposed to, they're supposed to be impermeable. But what happens when you regularly consume the inflammatory foods, whether you're a child or an adult, and those include bread, for kids it's cereals, cakes, cookies, pasta, too many grains, rice, all of that, junk food if he's out with his friends, chips, popcorn, all of these things, if they're on a regular basis over time, and this obviously for adults also, the lining of the intestines, it gets little holes in it. So your intestine, like your small intestine, is in charge of absorbing the nutrients from all the food that you eat and taking it and sort of, you know, spreading it all over your body so your body can function. When there's holes in the intestine, the intestines can't absorb the nutrients to take it to the bloodstream. The food just sort of floats out of the intestines, the nutrients, and then that can cause the bloating, that can cause the discomfort, and then your body's not absorbing anything. So you might be eating a plan high in iron, but if your gut is already compromised, it can't make use of it, and other nutrients as well. So for your son, you need to really, and it's not about let's kind of remove some things. In order for it to heal, in order for him to start to absorb iron, he has to go. He's no different than you. So if any bread has to go, any pasta has to go, sandwiches, if he eats out with his friends, I mean, that's the hardest one really to control with kids. And then I would definitely, at his age, you want to give him not the deli meats, because that's the processed meat. We don't want, even when we choose to consume meat, you don't want deli meat. You want proper, like a good piece of meat or a good piece of chicken or a good piece of fish, not processed meats. You want to bring in the whole unprocessed piece of meat for him. Add in, you're doing the beetroot, which is great. I would add in spinach, but this is going to take time for that leaky gut to heal. And sort of every time he's going to take gluten, or anytime he's going to take dairy, it's going to, it might start to heal and then it'll like perforate again, like start to heal and then perforate again. And that's just going to slow down the process. So reevaluate what he's actually eating. I would make a list, because we forget, and that's why we use our food diary. Make a food diary for him just for like a month, so that you actually see what he's actually eating every single day. Because we don't have such great memories that we can say, 3 weeks ago for breakfast, this is what he had. And then you might think it's not as much as you think it is. Like he's not really consuming dairy, or he's not really consuming gluten. But then when you actually write it down and you look back, it's like, oh my gosh, well, it's one day there's pasta and one day there's maybe yogurt, and then one day there's a cookie here, and then one day, and you're going to see that it adds up. So this is really important. It's not just about let's add iron, or let's just add iron supplements. If the body can't absorb it, you can give him all the iron supplements in the world. It's not going to work. Also, the other thing I would look at are symptoms. So I know we look at tests a lot because we want to see what's happening in our body, but look at his, like, signs of low iron is usually fatigue. So if he's always tired, if he's always out of breath, if he can't focus, but if he's not really suffering from any of those things, I wouldn't, because the test can be misleading, any kind of test, right? Like you can go and get a thyroid test and it tells you that you're perfectly fine, but you have all the symptoms of having a thyroid condition. So the test can be misleading either way. So I would focus on symptoms. If he is functioning properly, and maybe he plays a sport and he sleeps well and he's focused and he's energetic and generally seems like a happy, healthy 9-year-old boy, then I wouldn't fixate on the test result alone. Look at his symptoms and then follow the advice I've given you, and then just let it go. That's what I would do, because the symptoms tell you a lot more than the test results. Test results are based on a baseline, also for everybody, a baseline of a generally unhealthy population. So whatever averages you're getting in your test results, that's the average of you in an unhealthy population. They're not taking the averages of healthy people. 99% of people are not healthy. So they're not taking optimal levels. They're taking low baselines based on an unhealthy population. So focus on his symptoms, focus on removing the inflammatory foods. You could literally give him exactly what you're eating with the addition of animal protein. And this is how you're slowly going to rebuild it. Exactly. I mean, anything that I'm teaching you here, ladies, is you can implement with your kids.
So that was my question, because he's a slim kid. All my kids are pretty slim. They take after their father, not myself, I must admit. So my concern is, if I remove carbs and I remove some of these foods, I don't want him to be losing weight.
These aren't foods, right? So you're not removing food. You're removing inflammatory causing. These are not foods. He's not getting nutrients from these foods. He can be eating the biggest bowl of pasta every day. And because your concern is weight loss, he can eat the whole pot of pasta that you make every day and he's getting 0 nutrients.
Okay. But I guess my concern is, if I remove carbs then he
Replace
will
them. So
lose
replace
weight.
them with the good carbs, right? So give him potatoes, give him sweet
Okay.
potatoes, right? Like the starchy vegetables that are full of minerals and vitamins, and they also have the healing and rebuilding properties. That's what you give him. The processed carbs, the pasta, the bread, the cakes, the cookies, the cereals, all of that, that's not food. Zero.
Right.
Zero
Yeah,
nutrients.
we've cut out cereal, we've cut out dairy. So
Yeah.
I think now the next step would, as you said, would be the carbs.
Yep.
Would be
These are processed carbs, right? You're not cutting out carbs. All of us here right now are eating a very, very, very high carb plan. We forget
right.
that the
Right.
original carbs are fruits and vegetables. When you see, you know, humans need to eat protein and carbohydrates. Carbohydrates means fruits and vegetables. It doesn't mean bread and pasta. So
Right.
there's no such thing. We have essential carbohydrates. That's what we have to consume. Those are fruits and vegetables. There's no such thing as an essential processed carbohydrate, which is what the rest of the world wants you to believe is what you need, right? You have to have your cereal, have to have your bread, have to have your, you know, whatever it is. Those are processed carbohydrates. Nothing about processed carbohydrates speaks health or nutrients. These are dead, dry, and dumb carbs. Zero nutrition. Zero nutrition.
And then lastly, for the celery juicing, how much would you recommend? You indicated you give to your children. I was just curious, how much would you give them? Like a small cup or?
So my kids drink the smoothies. I tried with the celery. So I just put like celery in the smoothie, like I juice it in the juice.
Yeah.
But if you're I mean, my kids are teenagers, that's like adult serving. So they have the full 500 milliliters of a smoothie. But for a 9-year-old, I mean, I think my son was taking like half of that, like 250 ml of a smoothie. You know,
Okay.
you want to, you know, get him to taste the celery if he's into it. 9 might be hard to get him to appreciate celery. Like even adults don't really love celery, but I would start with a sweeter smoothie, right?
Okay.
So the berry smoothie is great because it's quite sweet.
Yeah, they liked it, by the way.
Yeah. So that's it. That's an easy one to get them used to. Probably 9 years old, he would need half of that, maybe even a fourth of that.
Okay. I have another question. I think I had a question, but it escaped me. So I think that's good. No, that's great. Thank you so much. Super helpful. And I'm losing weight. Yay. For the whole year. I have not been able to lose any weight, and it's just been mind-boggling. And my suits don't fit me, and it's so annoying. And I was like, do I just give up and go out and buy a new wardrobe, or do I hang tight? So I'm so excited that I'm just consistently losing weight. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. You're the one doing the work. Like I just sit here and like dish out the instructions, right? And you guys all have to go and do it. So congratulations for putting in the work and seeing, you know, getting the rewards of all your hard work. All of you, you know, all of you, at some point, you're going to see the reward of all of your focus and determination and effort, and it's going to be so worth it. Congratulations.
And I think just to wrap that up is the program that you've set up is not just the instructions, but the accountability, and then these sessions and the community that you've created that really kind of makes it complete. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just kudos to you. Thank you so much for your time, thoughtful time.
You're welcome. I have a question here. All right. Nahla. Dates are a very high source of iron. Yes, they are. And I was facing this issue with deficiency of iron. When I started taking at least 3 dates every morning, I saw lots of improvement. There you go, Marianne. So follow the plan, give him all the dates. That might also help. Thank you, Nahla, for that.
Thank you, Nahla. Good point. Thank you. We've actually incorporated that into the kids' meals. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sally, go ahead.
Missed you yesterday. I went through the recording, but it's never like when we're together.
Yeah.
I really appreciate and thank you so much for attending to our worries immediately. Today I was very worried about the swelling in my under my eye, And I just wrote you my worry, and you told me it's a lymph node clearing, so it made such a big difference. I really, for all of us, appreciate you attending to us so closely and so professionally. I think we're privileged, and we're so lucky to have this care. We should really turn into magic. Magic will happen, you know, with all the what we're receiving and with our strong intention. Thank you.
You're
Yani,
welcome. You're welcome. Did you see my post today? I needed to find like the wording for this whole, because so many of you are going through sort of like a flare up of symptoms. So I tagged everyone on this post today. Everybody go and read it. It explains why you are seeing a worsening of whatever symptom you have. And Sally, like your eyes are very close together. They're very connected. So it could be that your autoimmune, like it showed up on one eye, but maybe it didn't on the other one. And it's just sort of latent and hiding in the other one. And now it's coming out where was it going to come out to and be flushed from is your lymph nodes. So, and there's a really important part. I didn't write this post, I copied it, but there's a really important part in this post that says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, because the body knows what it's doing, and the body knows how to heal, and the body knows how to release the toxins, and that when you bring in the element of fear, that actually raises your cortisol and adrenaline, and then the body has to deal with that as another toxin, right? So don't fear your body. Your body's literally, you've put your body on the path to healing, and so it's doing that. The body's not breaking down. You're not getting another, disease. You're not creating a new problem. It's the body finally flushing everything out. So like you said, it's magical when we get through the difficult phase at the beginning.
Thank you very much, Dana. But I wanted to ask something, like the lemon at night. I forgot to take it. So is it very important? It would spoil the work? I don't know how come I forgot.
No, don't panic if you skip something, right? This is, remember, lifelong journey. So there's going to be days when you're not going to get everything in, or there's going to be days where you wake up and I'm just not doing celery today. I'm just not, right? Because it's not like you have to get everything perfect in the 21 days or everything perfect in the time that we're together, or else it doesn't work. You are creating the habits, you're creating the system, you're getting into the rhythm to carry this forth with you, which means life is going to get in the way. Our life is not exactly the same, going at the same pace, with the same energy, with the same focus, with the same concentration every single day of every single week of every single month. So part of the healing is sometimes it's going to look like, I'm going to skip my lemon today. And that's fine. Sometimes healing is going to look like, I'm going to sleep in today instead of doing my workout. Right? But you get to that point when you really, really know and understand and can listen to your body and not fear your body and not force your body. So if you've skipped something or missed something once or twice in this process, no, that's not an issue.
So for the meals, you say 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 5, yani, we should stick to it will help, right?
It would help, because the point of that, because everybody is so far removed from their body's natural rhythm, right? Especially in Egypt, we love staying up late. Like it's a cultural thing. Like the later you can stay up in Egypt, like the better. Like I get messages from some of you, right? I'll get a message or an email or something on Instagram, like at 1 a.m. or like 1:30 a.m. And, maybe your liver woke you up, and so you just needed to reach out to me at that time of day. But for the majority, and I see on other groups, and I see what time people are posting and what time people are on social media, no wonder you can't sleep. People are so far removed from their natural circadian rhythm, which is the natural sleep-wake cycle that we were born with and created with, that I need to, in order to get you back to optimal health, I literally need to tell you, like, here's when you need to eat. This is the best time to eat breakfast. This is the best time to eat lunch. This is the best time to eat dinner, so that you can gradually shift yourself out of, maybe if breakfast for you was at 12 p.m., if dinner for you used to be 9 p.m., and you just thought this was normal because that's what most people do. The reason I give you those time frames is to slowly reprogram your mind that this is how the body, these are the natural hours of the body.
Yeah, it's very useful, but I come at 11 o'clock or 11:30. I want to eat, so I eat the snack. Am I right? The apple
At
with
night?
the
At
no,
night?
no. In the morning. In the morning
Oh, yeah,
after
that's
we
fine. Yeah, yeah, no,
after
that's
saying
fine. Yeah, that's fine.
it's okay to eat the apple and the dates.
Yes.
Or I'm doing something wrong.
No. You can't do this wrong. Remember, you can't do it wrong. Anytime you feel like you need a snack during this plan, in between your meals, go ahead and have the apples and the dates if you're in the 9-day deep detox. After that, I still recommend you keep at least one snack of apples and dates. And then beyond that, if you're doing hybrid, if you're doing clean eating, you want to have other fruits, you can have other things, but always keep at least one apple and a handful of dates as a snack.
Thank you so much, Dana. Thank you.
You're welcome. Lamia, go ahead.
Hi, Dana. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm feeling actually much better, alhamdulillah,
Good.
in very specific areas. Like right before I began the program, I gained a lot of weight because
Okay.
the drawback after my first time that I had with you was pretty intense. I have to admit, I think it was worse than going into the program the first time.
Okay.
So that really hit hard. And this is the decision I made for myself, is that no matter what's happening, I need to take care of myself. Otherwise, I won't be able to take care of anybody.
Exactly.
And I want a longer life with my kids, and I want to enjoy everyone and so on. So anyway, the thing is, alhamdulillah, I'm feeling very well, specifically as I wake up and get out of bed. So
Good.
that was a chore right
Mm,
before the program. I would wake up and stay in bed for a very long time until I'm able to get out.
okay.
So that was something that was hitting me hard. The other thing is my knees. I feel much better around my knees. And that's also, it's amazing me because we haven't been that long in the program. And all of a sudden I feel maybe it's the water because I pee a lot. So maybe it's the edema that was in my body.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what it is.
Well, edema is inflammation. That's what edema
Exactly.
is.
Oh, yeah.
Edema
Yeah.
is inflammation. So basically what happens is the same way that I explained to how cholesterol acts to buffer the body, okay, from the toxins. Another way your body buffers itself is through water retention and edemas, which is water collected in certain parts, usually around the joints. So that's your proof right there that your body has eliminated or is eliminating inflammation.
Yeah, and I found also like my feet were swelling and it was like really bad.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that. So it's such a breath of fresh air that it's actually working very slowly, I must say,
Yes.
but I'm still seeing a great release. Now, my question to you, please, Dana, as someone who has had partial hysterectomy, I know you tend to address more people with regular periods and everything, but for me, it's quite different. I had a partial hysterectomy, so I have one of my ovaries still intact.
Okay.
So I do get PMS, but without the release.
Right.
So my trouble right now in my new life, I would say, and I'm not complaining about hysterectomy at all. I just want to understand my hormones. I don't know where I am right now. So it's like it's crazy how I'm getting my PMS, but there's no release to get my period.
All right.
And so right now I'm not sure. This was done like 2017. It's been a while, but then the fluctuating of me gaining weight, losing weight, going into diets, not working, going back, relapse, and so on and so forth. I want something more sustainable starting from now. And I'm working really hard to maintain that. So I just want to understand my hormones really. It's what phase am I in? I'm semi-menopause or I don't know.
All right. So when you say partial hysterectomy, so you removed your uterus, right?
I did, yes.
So that means there's no menstruation, which means you are in
No.
menopause, right? When there's no menstruation, and whether it's a natural progression and it stops, or it's induced by a hysterectomy, you're in full-on menopause. Okay.
But
The
but I do get PMS symptoms
Yeah, well, yeah, because the symptoms,
because of this
yeah, the symptoms have nothing to do
semi-ovulation.
with yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I have women in full-on menopause. They've been in menopause for 5 years and they still get night sweats.
Yeah.
All right. So what's happening with you? They left you the ovaries, at least one ovary, which is good. Potentially, and because ovaries are what produce your estrogen. So that's why you've got PMS. It has nothing to do with the release. You can't have a release anymore because you don't have the buildup inside your uterine wall anymore of the blood
Mhm.
and then the release. So you're not getting the buildup. So the problem is that you're not getting the buildup and you're not getting the release. The issue is you have an ovary that's potentially still ovulating. We don't know, maybe, but at our
Mhm,
age,
mhm.
we don't really ovulate as well.
Probably not. Probably, yeah.
But it's still producing estrogen potentially, okay? So this is where the imbalance is coming from. If your ovary is still producing estrogen, which is its job, and then the estrogen is not being filtered by your liver, because remember we said estrogen dominance is not about your ovaries overproducing estrogen, it's about your ovaries probably producing the exact amount of estrogen that you need for your age, but the liver is the one that's responsible for filtering your estrogen every month and getting rid of the estrogen every month to make way for the new supply of estrogen, because every month you get a new supply of estrogen.
Right.
It's part of our
Mhm.
cycles. So if your liver can't filter this month's supply, which means the body can't eliminate it, that old estrogen builds up in your body. And that creates the PMS, that creates maybe the moodiness, that creates the headaches, that creates the, if you get, like your breasts are sore, it feels like you're going to get your period, but you don't have a uterus, you're not going to get your period. So the key to that is to balance your liver so that the liver can filter and balance your estrogen. That's it.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. That's an eye opener.
Yeah.
First time to hear that, but that's great. So I'll just keep on doing what I'm doing right now, basically.
Exactly. You just keep doing what you're doing because the key here is to unclog the liver. Make the liver just needs to be smoothed out so things can just flow through it. And the liver has something like 6,000 functions, and filtering your estrogen is like one little function that it has to do. It's a major function. So, but that's the only way. So for you, the issue here is not, it has nothing to do with you getting PMS and not finding a relief. It has nothing to do with that. It's your liver is not getting rid of, or it's not processing your estrogen every single month the way it needs to.
Right. Thank you so much for that. My second question, please, is I have a herniated disc,
Mhm.
and for some reason, it flared up the past couple of days, the pain.
Yeah.
And I didn't like carry something heavy or anything. So I'm wondering, I don't know what's going on.
Again, that's inflammation. So the herniated disc, whether it sort of appeared or it's something that somebody develops over time, or it's something that happens as a result of a sudden wrong move or an injury, the location of the herniated disc is always going to be inflamed a bit. Okay. And so if we are regularly in a state of inflammation in our body, then that disc is not going to be able to calm down. Like, even if it's not painful on its own, it's sort of a sore spot. So in order for you to not to feel the discomfort that it might create, you have to heal the inflammation around it. And that's what you've done. You healed the inflammation around it.
So this is like part of the detox, or so why is it flaring up so bad like that? Is it because I'm detoxing the body?
Maybe I misunderstood. Did you say that it's feeling better or it's feeling worse?
No. It's flaring up. It's feeling worse.
Okay. So
since I began.
Right. So this goes back to the first thing that I said. When you have a pre-existing condition, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And that
okay.
Yeah, that goes for joint pain, it goes for disc, it goes for skin issues, it goes for thyroid, it goes for everything. It will get worse before it gets better.
Oh, okay. Some patients will help a lot.
Exactly.
And
but
so
I mean,
yesterday,
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, the fact that we've seen the edema clear up, this is a clear, like literal proof for you, okay, that the
Yes, yes,
inflammation is decreasing in your body. So yeah, literally just be patient.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I will do. And then yesterday, I was craving so bad a falafel sandwich, and I told my my kids. They looked at me. I said, "Well, you know, this is not going to work now." But so these like pop up like cravings.
Mhm.
What do we do with those? I mean, they hurt so bad during that time,
Yeah.
like literally physically hurt.
Yeah. This keep in mind that the biochemical addictions, like a falafel sandwich is basically bread and it's basically sugar.
Yeah.
It's basically just different types of sugar. So in theory, but I think it takes, for some people, it takes a little bit longer. In theory, the biochemical addiction is done after 5 days. So in theory, if you are, addicted to the sugar, if you're addicted to caffeine, if you are a smoker, like even drugs, they say it's 5 days to get the chemical out of your body. But what happens after that is the emotional and mental addiction. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's assume that after, today's day 6. So those biochemical addictions should be out of your body. The next step for you is to start to recognize, like, did this craving come because, was there a memory associated with it? Was there an event associated with it? Is it something you used to do at a certain time of day or a certain day of the week? Was it an emotional response to something? Like, were you tired? Were you bored? Were you angry? Were you depressed? And then a falafel sandwich is maybe you're always your go-to when you feel this way. So this is where we start to say, right, the physical addiction is waning, it's going away. Now I need to address my emotional cravings and the way that I use food to address my emotional discomfort. And that's what we do with food. That's what's called emotional eating, right? We use food to suppress an emotion that's uncomfortable that we don't want to deal with. And that can be sadness, grief, boredom, frustration, lack of purpose. Like, it could be so many things. You have an argument and you don't want to deal with the discomfort of those emotions. So what's the easiest way? What's like the quick fix that's going to make you feel good is we eat. But then you end up with 2 problems. You end up with the whatever effects of the food that you've eaten, because when this happens, we don't go grab an apple, right? We go grab a falafel sandwich, we go grab a pizza, grab chocolate, whatever it is. So then you end up with the effects of that food that you've eaten. And then you haven't really solved the problem that you were trying to cover up with the food. So you end up with double issues. So from
sorry.
Go ahead.
And I think the main issue for that severe, like painful craving was that I did not eat enough.
Yes, good point.
Yes.
Yeah. So the other thing is why we get cravings or hungers is especially at the end of the day, right? That's why a lot of women feel like in the evening.
Exactly. That was when,
is if you have deprived your body of enough nutrition during the whole day, the body has to like sort of make up for it at night before you sleep. There's like it's keeping count, right? So you were supposed to have all of these things during the day. You didn't. We only have a couple of hours left for this day. Quickly, let's fulfill the quota for the day. So that's the other thing. So that this is why it's so important not to skip meals and not to go for more than 2 hours, and to eat foods that are nutrient dense. Now, you could eat every 2 hours, but you could eat a cookie every 2 hours. That's going to keep your sugar cravings, and there's no nutrients there. So the body's still going to be hungry. So by the time you get to the evening, even if you've had 50 cookies during the day, you're still going to be starving at night because that wasn't food. And even if you have, like I said, a big pot of pasta during the day, that's that's no nutrients. Let's just say 0 nutrients. You're still going to be hungry at the end of the day. So you constantly need to remind yourself that hunger is the way your body gives you the signal that it's missing nutrients. Or it could be an emotional hunger that you try to fill with food, but then that doesn't work either. So you want to make sure that you're filling the body with nutrients so that the physical hunger is satisfied. And you want to make sure that you're understanding and dealing and processing your emotions so that the emotional hunger gets satisfied. But this can take like a really, really long time and like 3 other courses to talk about emotional eating. But that's the basics of it.
Thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Rasha, go ahead.
Hi, Dana. Good morning.
Morning. How are you doing today?
I'm better. My diarrhea is better today. I think it's because from the potato that I ate at dinner yesterday. But I'm just surprised that I'm a bit bloated, and I with all this diarrhea that I have, I'm how can I be bloated?
That's from the actual type of vegetables, right? We call them gut scrubbers. So it's clearing, but before it clears, it has to latch on to all the viruses and the bacteria and backed up bacteria and pathogens in your gut. And that's going to cause the bloating. And then it's going to clear it with the diarrhea. And then it's going to start all over again at the next time you eat. So this is going to take time. But you're with the amount of diarrhea that you're experiencing, this is a clear indication of the amount of pathogens and backed up bacteria in your gut that your body's trying to eliminate.
Okay, so that it's just normal.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Dana.
You're welcome. But those of you who are still heavily bloated, let me know which plan you decide to move on to next week. But on top of that, next week, let me know if the bloating is not subsiding at all, like not even a little bit, then we can start to add in some remedies. But I always want to give it a chance in the first 9 days to see how it sort of takes that journey on its own. If it's still horribly unbearable by next week, do reach out to me and we can add in a few natural remedies for that also.
No, it's not horribly unbearable. Yeah, it's just something that got me, thinking. So
Yeah.
Since it's normal, that's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me just see this. We have a couple of questions here. Rihem, then I'm starting to feel really good today, active and light. Yes, slept well. Yes, acne starting to fade, lost 3 kilograms. I got my period a week early. Does this have anything to do with the program? Yes. So as your period, like any system in your body, it's recalibrating. It might come early, it might come late. Don't worry about this because the hormones we're shuffling them around a bit until they come down to their baseline and rebalance. But this is amazing. You're right on track. Angie, is it okay to switch the mid-afternoon snack with lunch? So you want to have, yeah, you want to have your snack instead of lunch and lunch instead of snack? Yes, you can do that. Angie, finally found fresh celery. No, it was mentioned many times before, but could you please explain how to prepare it at home? The celery is are you juicing or blending? So you have the instructions inside your guide, Angie. If you're juicing, you basically just chop off the leaves, chop off the ends, wash, put it through your juicer. Easiest thing ever. If you're blending, you do the same thing, but then you need to chop up the celery and put it in your blender with some water, blend it, and then strain it before drinking. Mary Ann, just remembered my last questions. Are kidney or pinto beans and porridge also considered inflammatory? Porridge as in oats? Yes. The beans, not as inflammatory, but they're not healing either, right? When we talk about foods that are not going to take your health forward, those are the whole bean and legume category. Can we add chia seeds, flax seeds, and cocoa nibs allowed to be added to our juice? Not during the 9 days. If you're going to move into clean eating, I would say proceed with caution because flax seeds and chia seeds are still a form of fat. So add one at a time, add it a very small quantity and see how your body reacts. If you want to have it after 12 o'clock, that's not a problem. But in the morning, you need to pay attention to that. Iman, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I just need to celebrate with you that I went to yoga today and I was more flexible. I was more capable to do all the positions.
Amazing.
And this was amazing, Hai. Just thank you. And the other thing that I'm still suffering from the bloating and from gases from the broccoli and the green issues.
Yep.
And I need to know what to do for this. And for, from 2 days, you told me just to eat the cooked food, not the salad. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do I have to resume now the salad or still on the cooked food only?
Well, we wanted to remove that for you because you were having the really, really difficult symptoms. So if the symptoms have subsided, because raw food is going to trigger more of a healing crisis than cooked food will. So if you're feeling better and you don't feel like the nausea and all of that anymore, then add in the raw again and let's see what happens. For the bloating, let me know next week if it's still there.
I'm a little bit confused about the difference between this week and the next week. I think this is the same menu, or
No. You get to choose. Were you here from the beginning of the call today?
no,
Iman?
I'm sorry.
Okay,
No,
so,
I'm sorry.
yeah, go back and listen to the beginning of the call because I tell you exactly how to move forward after Friday. You have three choices: to repeat, or to do the hybrid cleanse, or to go on to clean eating. And I'm going to explain that to you in the beginning of the call. You're going to understand. Go back and listen to it, so you'll be able to choose which one to move forward with.
What I understood that we will on Friday we'll go on smoothies only.
Friday
The
is
berries?
Friday is just liquids. Friday is your juicing day. It's the last day of the 9-day detox, and it's just a smoothie and then juices the rest of the day. Nothing cooked, nothing solid. I think you just get an apple at the end of the day if you want it, but it's all liquids on Friday.
Okay, great. Last thing about my concentration. Already I have low concentration, and yani this is my minimum these days. At night, I hardly reply to people. Yani last night I was having a meeting, business meeting. I was slow thinking.
What time was the meeting?
Maybe 9 or something like this. It was late one.
Okay, so 9 p.m. This is, and you are not concentrating at 9 p.m. This is not a defect in you, right? 9 p.m. We're supposed to be winding down. We're not supposed to be focusing. Our brain is not supposed to be functioning. So again, this is us trying to like force the body to do something when it's not supposed to be doing it. 9 o'clock, if you're not able to focus, this is not something to worry about. You're not supposed to be able to focus at 9 p.m. You've had a long day. You've focused all day. You've worked all day. 9 p.m. is for rest.
Okay, we'll try, inshallah.
Okay.
I'll manage my meetings earlier, inshallah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Everybody who has their hand up again, who already asked a question, did you forget to put your hand down, or do you have a second question for me? Lamia, Nahla, Rebecca.
I have a second question. It's Rebecca.
Go ahead.
So actually I have two questions. Is grazing okay? Like, for instance, I know we're talking about the times that we eat, but like I find that I'll take like an hour to eat my salad because I'm kind of doing other things with it. Is that okay?
Other things like what? What are you doing while you're eating your salad?
Probably cooking or preparing or.
Okay, so when you eat your meals, you want to be focused. You don't want to be multitasking while you're eating. Focus 20 minutes to eat your salad and then go and do anything else that you need to do, because the distraction is going to interfere with the signal between your brain and your stomach that you're full. And you might eat the whole meal, but then half an hour later realize you're starving. Because it's such an important mind-body connection and experience to be fully absorbed and fully involved in your meal without looking at your phone, without watching TV, without cooking at the same time. So I want you to try that today, Rebecca. That's your assignment for today.
Okay, perfect.
Right.
Okay, and then my second question is more around thyroid. So, we're talking about releasing and detoxing.
Yep.
And for me, I haven't really had any releasing that's showing up. However, the other day I had wicked like neck pain. And so I'm just I was like, oh, maybe that's my release. Maybe it's because of the thyroid in that area. So I was just curious, could that be my release? Like
potentially, because if you have a thyroid condition, your viruses are happily embedded inside your thyroid. And so when it's finally time to kick them out and we're starving them, they're going to come out. Your thyroid is right here. They're going to flood through your neck and out and through the lymph nodes and out. So definitely.
Okay. So my final question is just with regards to the thyroid medication, like ultimately it's my goal to get off it. I'm on a low dose, but like, I'm just curious, the blood tests, won't they show like what is the process of getting off the medication, specifically thyroid?
Well, number one, you need to have your doctor walk you through it. So it's not, you can't just wake up and say, right, I don't want to take this anymore today and just stop cold turkey. There is a process to coming off the medication. There is a way to lower the dose until you're basically down to zeros. And the only qualified person to show you how to do that is your doctor. Once you're off it, because here's what thyroid medication does. It doesn't really go to the thyroid, and the reason you might be on it and feel like like it's working is because it just basically the thyroid medication just sort of dumps the thyroid hormones into your blood. So then you go and do a blood test and there's like sufficient levels in your blood, but it hasn't really, because it can't, because medicine just can't do that. It doesn't really go to your thyroid to start to rebuild the thyroid. So the only way that you're going to really know a true, right, test result with your thyroid is when you're off the medication completely. And when you're off it for like 3-6 months. And so then, because you still have to then get rid of the effects of the medication, and then you have to work towards rebuilding your thyroid, then you can have a true reading of how your thyroid is functioning.
And my doctor, originally when I went to her, I really like pushed it out because I said, I want to do this through food. And I was not anywhere near what I'm doing now. So it never worked. So after, 2 or 3 months, I ended up going onto the medication. However, she told me right from the get-go, it'll never work. If you have a thyroid issue, you need medication. Yeah. And so I'm a little bit hesitant, to now say I'm doing this. What her response, I mean, in the end, I'm going to ultimately, I take responsibility for my life. I'm the one that's going to make that decision, but I just think that she might look at me like I have 5 heads and why would you want to do it this way? And
you have to think of it, when we talk about responsibility and you being responsible for yourself and you and not sort of worrying about what the other people, including doctors, like they get to believe what they want to believe. You have to understand where they're coming from, right? So they've never learned any other way. So it's not a fault of hers. It's not, I mean, some people will argue and say in this day and age, doctors have a responsibility to look beyond what they just learned in medical school and to look beyond and see what's happening in the alternative health world and why aren't they? But that's a different argument. But if we're just looking at where she's come from, and I've told you, my father's a doctor, they don't learn any of this. They don't. So it's not like it's like for her, you literally you might as well have 5 heads. Like she has spent years and years and years in medical school. All her colleagues think this way. Her professors think this way. The system is built this way. So she doesn't know anything else. So it is going to, I mean, we always want to try and put yourself in the other person's position, whether somebody who's arguing with you, whether somebody who's mocking you, whether it's a doctor who doesn't agree with you. Try to put yourself in their position, just see where they're coming from, right? And that's going to make it a lot easier for you to have the conversation, a lot easier for you to not be upset when she doesn't agree with you. But like you said, at the end of the day, you're going to choose what you want to choose. And as your doctor, she's required, because basically you've hired her, she's required to do what you want her to do, which is to slowly get you off the medication. Will she be convinced? No. Will she try and talk you out of it? Yes. Will she tell you there's no other way? Yes. Do we know there's another way? Yes, because thousands and thousands and thousands have healed using the other way. But you don't have to take it upon yourself to try and convince her. Just acknowledge that she has the right to believe what she wants to believe, given her background, but do what you need to do for yourself.
Okay, perfect. And in terms of timing, should I, when you said thyroid is a deeper rooted autoimmune, so I'll continue to do the deeper cleanse, like the full on. Yeah. And at what point would you say could be good timing to go and address this with the doctor, like to potentially wean myself off?
I would give yourself at least 3 months, and then go and say, right, because you want to be able to be set in this new way of eating. You want to be comfortable in your new normal, right? So after the 3 months, I would go, and then you're going to start to see improvements anyway in yourself, so that you can go and say, right, it's been 3 months and I'm feeling XYZ. I don't have any of these symptoms anymore. I'm ready to be weaned off this medication.
Okay. And in those 3 months, I should stick to the detox? I can still go into clean eating, or?
You can, what the best results I've seen with a thyroid client, and she had like, you know, growth, like things growing on her nodules, and like cysts and things growing. In 3 months, she had no evidence of thyroid disease, and all of these shrunk. And she did it by following the 9 days repeatedly. She didn't reintroduce any animal protein. She basically stayed vegan for 3 months and then wiped it out of her body. Again, do you want to do it that fast? You could do it that fast that way, or you can do it at a more slower pace, but that's your choice. But manage your expectations then in that case.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Sally Unahla, do you have another question for me?
Yes, please. I was just asking about the celery. I don't sieve it. I mean, I mix it and I drink it all
Yeah,
of
if,
it. Is
yeah,
it-
okay, if you don't mind like the stringy bits, then you don't have to strain it. That's fine.
That's it. Thank you.
Let me just see. I think I have some questions here. Rasha, when can we have homemade chocolate with cocoa, honey, and coconut oil? And I'm gonna leave that out, right? Because it's chocolate and cocoa are two of, you know, they're sort of like stimulants and caffeine. And I want you to be able to get to a place where your body is stable before you can add those in. So not anytime soon. Where to find the juicing day in the guide? It's day 13, I believe. It's day 13, which is Friday. If you just follow your schedule, you'll find it in there with the recipes and exactly what to have and when to have it. Sally and Rebecca, do you have another question for me? No. Nahla, you have a question for me.
Hi, Dana.
Hi.
I just want to know, since yesterday, I'm having diarrhea after eating the veggies, while on the other part of the day, I'm fine.
Okay.
It's not 100% good stool, but it's normal. But
Okay.
especially after eating the veggies, it's diarrhea.
Okay.
So
That's-
is this fine?
That's fine. Diarrhea at any time is good. It's just that's all, you know, crap coming out of the body. Anytime we have diarrhea, that's not a problem.
Okay, and after dinner, especially after dinner, I had a headache. I start having the headache after dinner. I don't know why.
And it's this, and you're having the same food, lunch and dinner?
Yeah.
Okay. That could be because that evening time is usually the time when our cortisol levels should be going down for you to relax, for you to wind down. It's possible that yours are not. That's one explanation. It's possible that your body at that time, the same way that you're having diarrhea with the vegetables, but not with the celery juice, it could be that that's when your body is releasing toxins in another way. So headaches is the body releasing toxins also.
Okay. And one of the symptoms also is the blocked nose, as if really I'm having cold.
Yep.
And even I'm trying to do this exercise for breathe in and breathe out. I cannot do it because nothing is coming in and going out.
I would, mucus is again, like diarrhea, mucus is how, you know, toxins come out from this side. So I would rub peppermint oil on your chest, mixed it with coconut and also the lavender, they both work. I would rub it also around here, rub it around here, rub it around here to help release it so you can like get it out so it doesn't stay stuck inside.
Okay. Okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, wrapping it up, ladies. Nora, at a later stage, how do we feel about maple syrup? We love maple syrup at a later stage. Maple syrup and raw honey are one of the best natural sweeteners. Sally, do you have a final question for me?
Yes, sorry for we're wrapping, I know, but I wanted to say it's a miracle thing, the mint and lavender. I'm putting it all the time with olive oil, and my kids are telling me, Mommy, I think you're overdoing it. You have to ask, you'll be addicted or something, but they're really helping me a lot in many things. So I can keep on putting as much as I want.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yep, enjoy
You made
it.
me feel that I became an addict, you know?
This is one addiction that's good to have. No problem there.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
And
You're
if there is anything soothing for the eyes, natural, because I stopped my eye drops and they're burning, you know, my eyes.
Mm.
I used to, maybe
Can
I
you-
can work.
Can you
Something
message me? I don't know off the top of my head. Can you message me and
Okay.
remind me, please, Sally, and I can look
Okay,
that up for
thank
you.
you, thank you.
Okay.
Like Borek or something they used to, instead of optics, you know, in the old
Yeah.
days, but I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Message me
thank
and remind. All right, ladies, we're wrapping up. Tomorrow, I am going to take you through an exercise called the thought model. Remember, I kept telling you I'm going to show you a way to fix your thoughts, change your thoughts. We're going to do that tomorrow. I want you need to come with a pen and paper tomorrow because it is an exercise that is written. It's not something that we do on our phone or digitally if you're on your laptop. It is a written exercise. So come prepared with pen and paper tomorrow and have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all again, same time, same place. Bye, ladies.
Thank you, Dana.
Welcome.